You weren't taught to bond, you were taught to comply. That is the sad but God honest truth. If you grew up with an emotionally abusive or narcissistic or emotionally immature parents, the kind that, had a my way or the highway attitude, the kind that if you confronted them about something even gently, it was going to turn into World War X because this is my house and I'm the parent and how dare you. No. You weren't taught how normal people behave, but the problem is that the parent is the blueprint for how the world behaves according to the child. And so, if you had a parent that fucking bullied you into compliance anytime you dared to assert autonomy or have a boundary, you were not taught to bond. You were taught to comply. You were taught that you only get relationships if you shut the fuck up and you do what you're told, and that's not how real relationships work. It's just not. But you're not going to know that. You're not going to know that if you grow up in a house like that. You're just going to keep attracting narcissistic friends, narcissistic partners, maybe even narcissistic jobs, and just feel like there's a target on your back. Feel like it might as well be tattooed on your forehead, abuse me. But really what it is you're not cursed, you just weren't taught. You weren't taught. But which is why this book right here, it'll be a godsend for you if you get your hands on it. Trust me. And I highly, highly encourage and recommend that you do. Because, like, for example, let me read you this passage. If there's anything emotionally immature people are keen on in relationships, it's role compliance. Roles simplify life and make decisions clear-cut. As parents, emotionally immature people need their children to play a proper role that includes respecting and obeying them. They often use platitudes to support the authority of their role as a parent because, like roles, platitudes oversimplify complex situations and make them easier to deal with. And then I'm going to read another paragraph that's right below that. Role entitlement is the attitude of demanding certain treatment because of your social role. When parents feel entitled, keyword entitled, to do what they want simply because they're in the role of parent, this is a form of role entitlement. They act as though being a parent exempts them from respecting boundaries or being considerate. Sound familiar? What was I just saying, right? I'm the parent, and so, and where I think this is really insidious is that, like, it becomes a thing where you can only survive in your family. You can only have peace, quote unquote, if you fit a very strict and narrow role. And what that teaches you is that you have to be a certain way, that you can't be loved for who you are. You can only receive love if you are catering to other people. You see how this makes you a prime candidate for abusers? Because that's not a healthy dynamic at all. But while you're in the thick of it, you're not going to see that. Because under an emotionally immature parent's roof, your role is not to develop into a sovereign human being. Your role is to comply, which means you're not learning how to advocate for yourself. You're not learning how to set boundaries. You're not learning how to spot red flags. And when you do, you're shut down immediately. So that by the time you're an adult, you can barely tell up from down, let alone whether someone is toxic or not. I just don't think it's talked about enough how emotionally abusive parents or narcissistic parents, whatever you want to call it, hinder their kids' social development. It's just not. While they'll be convinced they're teaching you, quote unquote, respect, they're teaching you to be an abuse victim because that's what you were when you were a child. And if you don't unlearn these patterns, that's what you're in danger of being when you become an adult. And people are unalived by abusive partners every day. This is not a game. It's not a joke. And in fact, this is a major reason why I make the content I make and why I've started Audacious Day and teach social skills to adults. It literally is a life and matter. So that's why I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that this is life-saving material. So if you're dealing with a parent like that and you're looking for answers, adult children of emotionally immature parents is something you need to check out. I'm warning you though, you might cry. You might.